Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shrutismriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Stuštuvagmsastanubhihi Yashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vridhashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastarksho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we are seeing in the Prashnopanishad, chapter 6, and in mantra 5, we saw how the Purusha creates the 16 kalas. Mantra 4, it was said how Purusha creates the 16 kalas. They appear from the Supreme Purusha, and in that commentary at the end, it was said these are all 16 kalas are an effect of ignorance. So the creation itself is an illusory creation, it is not real. Avidya adi dosha bija apekshaya srashtaha. Now, it was earlier said, where is that Purusha? So Pippalaada Rishi said, Iha eva anta sharire. In this very body is this Purusha, and that Purusha is the source of all the kalas, and all the kalas merge also into that Purusha. So we saw in that second mantra, which was said, Yasmin etaha shodashakalaha prabhavanti iti. So these emerge from the Purusha, and how they emerge we saw in the fourth mantra. The fifth mantra now speaks about how these kalas merge back into the Purusha. So emerging from Purusha, merging back into Purusha. In between, obviously, what is indicated is sustenance also is in Purusha only. The ocean rises in the waves. Waves rise in the ocean, they stay in the ocean, they merge into the ocean. Same way here now, fifth mantra. Sa yatha imaha nadyaha syandyamanaha samudrayanaha samudram prapya astam gachanti bhidyete tasam nama rupe samudra iti evam procyate evamevasya paridrashturimaha shodashakalaha purushayanaha purusham prapya astam gachanti bhidyete chasam nama rupe purusha iti evam procyate sa esho akalo amrito bhavati tadesha shlokaha. Sa yatha ima nadyaha sandamanaha. The same example which is given in the Mundakopanishad is given here also. The rivers merging into the ocean, sandamanaha, they flow towards what? Samudrayanaha, towards the ocean. Ayana here means that the path. So flow towards the ocean. Samudram prapya, and when they reach the ocean, when they merge into the ocean, astam gachanti, they completely merge in the ocean. What do they let go? Bhidyete tasam nama rupe, their name and form gone. And they may be called as Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, different names, but all those names, forms disappear, and what they are called henceforth? Samudram. Samudra iti evam prochyate. They only called as the ocean. In the same way, evam eva asya paridrashtuhu, the sakshi in us, the ultimate witness in us is that Purusha. In that Purusha, imaha shodasha kalaha, Purushayanaha, the 16 kalas, they are just like the rivers flow towards the ocean. The 16 kalas flow towards the Purusha, Purushayanaha, Purusham prapya, and they become one with that Purusha, astam gachanti, giving up their name and form. This is at the time of pralay, deluge. Pralay, deluge. Chasam nama rupe Purusha iti evam prochyate, and then they are only called Purusha. From Purusha they emerge, and then we call them different things, the countless beings and things in the creation. Those are only functional names. They emerge from Purusha, they are actually sustained by Purusha, they are nothing but appearances of Purusha, and they again go back to Purusha. In between, as though they have some distinct name and form, but in reality they are not different. They were Purusha earlier, they are Purusha now, they will be Purusha later also. So Purusham iti evam prochyate. Sa, whoever has realized this, that I am the Chaitanya Swarupatma, which is indestructible, the universe rises in me, stays in me, merges back into me. That person, akalaha, becomes partless, meaning goes beyond this Shodasha Kalas, goes beyond this creation, realizes oneness of infinite consciousness. Amritaha, immortal, amrito bhavati, tadesha shlokaha, and there is this shloka. So this Upanishad is in the Atharvana Veda. The Rigveda mantra is quoted in the next mantra. Rigveda is quoted in the next mantra. So now let us see what Shankaracharya ji says here. Sadrishtanto yatha loka imaha nadhyaha sandamanaha sravantyaha samudrayanaha samudro ayanam gatihi atma bhavo yasam ta samudrayanaha. So just like in the world, there is this example. The rivers are born from the ocean itself. The sun makes the water evaporate and they become the clouds, and then they travel and then they rain and the rivers are formed. So the source of the rivers is that ocean, and wherever they fall, the rain falls and the river forms, then again that water is going towards the samudra only. That is called samudra ayanaha. So one meaning, ayana means home, also ayana means the path also. The rivers are the home, the ocean is the home of all the rivers, and the rivers move towards the ocean. The path of the rivers is towards the ocean. So the rivers are called samudrayanaha, they are going towards the ocean. Samudram prapya upagamya astam nama rupa tiraskaram gachanti. They give up their name and form. Gangaji doesn't say that I am one of the most holiest rivers in the world, worshipped by millions of people. I have a distinct identity. If I merge into you, what royalty will you give me? How businesses, they do acquisitions and mergers and all that, and then they say this business was taken over by this particular corporate group and they paid this many dollars and crores of rupees to acquire this, and now this group has become much bigger because they have got merged. River loses the name and form as it is because it knows the source is that there's nothing else apart from the ocean water. The identity that it is a river, that identity is a myth. There is no Ganga water separate from the ocean. So Ganga Yamuna, so that comes now. Tasam cha astam gatanam bhidyete vinashyato nama rupe Ganga Yamuna ityadi lakshane tad abhede samudra iti evam prochyate tad vastu udaka lakshanam. Why? Because the main quality is water. Ocean and river. In both, what is the main aspect? The main aspect is it is water alone. So Nama and Rupa are left. And there is a great joy in that actually. Because separated from the source, one has to struggle and go through ups and downs and flow and so much journey one has to go through because separated as though. But when the merging happens, then there is no struggle. One has returned home as though. So this river as a separate identity, we think in the world when we live, we have to maintain our individuality separately and we have to prove ourselves and achieve great things, which is fine at one level. But at a deeper level, when one has seen through all that, then one says this is useless. This is actually cause of sorrow. Better it is to unite with that infinite because that is my true nature. As water, there is nothing happening. But as the river, then there is so much. The river is drying up, the river is going to get extinct and all those things. So Nama Rupa Vihaya, the essence cannot be dropped. Water cannot be dropped. But the name, that is Ganga or Yamuna, or whatever name of the river it is, and the form, the width of the river, the quantity of the water, the force with which it flows, all that Nama Rupe Vihaya. Now it is very interesting. You see this culture of ours, Vedanta, especially the science here. The billions and billions of things in this entire universe are as though expressed in just 16 aspects in this creation. Shodasha Kala. See the simplification. From countless number, it comes to 16. From 16, it will boil down to 2, Nama and Rupa. Only name and form. All those 16s are name and form. And those 2 also can come into 1. I'm talking as an object. If you say idam, this, so that this includes name and form 2 or 16 kalas or 24 tattvas or billions of things. And that idam also is not there independent of aham. So finally it is only one aham. That aham alone is real. Everything else is illusory. So when Nama Rupa is dropped, it means the entire idam, the world, everything gone. At the time of cosmic deluge, that happens, that the whole creation goes back into Purusha. Ishvara here. Ishvara is the causal body, total causal body. The entire creation goes back into Ishvara when Brahmaji's day is over. When Brahmaji's lifespan is over. Otherwise, it will go back to Brahmaji, Hiranyagarbha. Till his one day is there, creation is there, his night, then whole thing goes back into Brahmaji, then it comes again and that keeps happening. Then when Brahmaji also dissolves, goes back into Ishvara. So either of these times, Pralaya when it happens, it goes back to Purusha only. Both Ishvara and Hiranyagarbha are that one Purusha only. So this cosmic deluge when it happens, all these things go back into the Supreme. Now for us, when creation is real, then death is also real. then pain is also there, sorrow is there, suffering is there, attachment is there. But if we saw earlier what he said, the appearance of the whole creation is an appearance in Purusha. It is not really created. Then the dissolution also is like an appearance only, disappearance. Actually, it is. It is not actually getting destroyed. It is a disappearance that is happening. Appearance, disappearance. Like the snake appears on the rope, disappears into the rope. Or the waker and the dreamer is a better example. The waker, from him, the dream emerges, appears, again it merges back, disappears. Is not real. So that has to be understood. The river example is to say that name and form are given up and the source is the ocean. The emergence of the river is from the ocean, merging back is into the ocean. And the essence is only water. So that example, once we understand, that is applied to Purusha here now. Yatha ayam drishtantaha, just like this example, ukta lakshanasya prakritasya asya purushasya. This Purusha, who has been described as the source of these 16 kalas, paridrashtuhu, parisamantat drashtuhu, is the ultimate observer in all ways. And the example given here is darshanasya kartuhu swarupa bhutasya yatharkaha swatma prakashasya karta sarvatah tadvat. Like the sun, its nature is to illumine everything around. In the same way, the paridrashtu, the ultimate observer in us, illumines whatever is there. And it doesn't get affected by that. Like the sun illumines whatever whatever is there around, it does not get affected. In that same way, imaha shodasha kalaha pranadyaha uktaha kalaha purushayanaha. In the same way, like the rivers, these 16 kalas, they merge into this Purusha. That Purusha is the one who is the ultimate enlivener, ultimate observer, the witness of these kalas. From these only, from this Purusha only, the 16 kalas have risen, and into them these go back like the rivers. Uktaha kalaha purushayanaha nadinam iva samudraha purusho ayanam atmabhava gamanam yasam kalanam taha purushayanaha purusham prapya purushatma bhavam upagamya tatha eva astam gacchanti. So these 16 kalas also, they give up their name and form, become one with that Purusha. Bhidyete chasam nama rupe kalanam pranadi akhya rupam cha yathaswam. So the name, the 16 kalas, the different names beginning from prana and their distinct form, both these are given up. Bhedecha nama rupayoho yad anashtam tattvam purusha iti evam prochyate brahma vidbhihi. So just like in the river example and the ocean example, the river merges into the ocean, giving up its distinct name and identity and the form. But what remains in essence is that water is indestructible. Water doesn't get destroyed. Name and form gets destroyed, disappears. In that same way here, the 16 kalas, they disappear into Purusha, but that which remains unaffected, indestructible is the Purusha. Namarupayoho yad anashtam tattvam, that which is indestructible in that name and form is the Purusha. Like the water in the river is indestructible. Tattvam Purusha iti, that Tattva is called Purusha. Who says this? The knowers of Brahman, they say this. Now, this, who recognizes this reality, this Purusha, ya evam vidwan, guruna pradarshita kala pralaya margaha. This vidwan, this seeker, the wise person who has walked the path directed by the Guru, shown, indicated by the Guru, and how the Guru also indicates, like the Prabhava, the appearance of creation from the Purusha, the Guru also indicates the disappearance. And so one who has followed that teaching properly, sa esha vidyaya pravilapita pravilapitasu avidya kama karma janitasu pranadi kala swakalaha avidya krita kala nimitto hi mrityuhu tad upagame akalatvad eva amrito bhavati tadetad asmin artha esha shlokaha. With this knowledge that the Guru has given, that the 16 kalas, this whole creation is only appearing from the Purusha and it disappears into the Purusha, and obviously it is sustained by the Purusha. So this student, using this right knowledge, what does the student do? This student drops avidya kama karma, meaning destroys this ignorance, selfish desires, and the consequent actions. How? By dropping this attachment to the BMI, and naturally these 16 kalas are experienced only by identification with the BMI. Nama and Rupa here, then the creation also appears real. So with this knowledge that they are an appearance, which means even this BMI is only an appearance, because it's a part of the Shodasha Kala. I am the Purusha who is supporting this Shodasha Kala. Merging into this Purusha are the 16 Kalas, which includes this BMI. So far the identification was, I am a part of this 16 Kalas. One small little creature in this whole universe, which is Shodasha Kala. Now the identification, no, I am not this. I am this Purusha, the substratum of the entire Shodasha Kala. I am the Shodasha Kala Purusha. So, like the rivers drop the name and form, this individual has dropped the individuality and realized oneness with the infinite consciousness. Then, avidya krita kala nimitto hi mrityuhu. Now, here one very important thing is said. Shankaracharya ji mentions here that, see, for the ordinary person, at the time of pralay, when this entire 16 kalas go back into the Purusha, for the jiva who has not realized the truth, all these, the BMI, everything goes back into Ishvara in the unmanifest form, or in Hiranyagarbha in unmanifest form. And then again it will continue as per the karma, that jiva will again take birth when the creation emerges, and the jiva will continue till the jiva doesn't realize this knowledge given by the Guru, that I am the Purusha. But what happens to the Jivan Mukta? The Jivan Mukta 16 kalas are dissolved then and there while living itself, not after death. Acha, while living only gone? Yes, that is what it is. While living only they disappear. Oh, then if their 16 kalas, if their BMI disappears for this individual, then do they see the world? Then how do they interact? So there are two types of destruction. One is karmana nashaha, other is jnanena nashaha. Like the pot can be actually destroyed. You destroy take the stick or something, or put the pot on the floor, the pot gets destroyed. Then the pot is gone. What remains? Mud remains. That is called karmana nasha. The second type of destruction is jnanena nasha. I don't have to destroy the pot. With the right vision, when I have the pot in my hand, I know okay, this is mud only. This is not anything separate from mud. A specific form of mud I am calling as pot. That's only a name and form. The truth is mud. Mrittika iti eva satyam. Rest of it is all modification of speech. Vacharambhanam vikaro namadheyam mrittika iti eva satyam. This mud alone is real. This pot is nothing called pot except mud. Apart from mud, there is nothing called pot. That is called destruction of the pot through the right knowledge. One is still seeing the pot, but the knowledge is very clear. So the realized person, while living itself, has destroyed the BMI. And this separate sense of individuality, because of which one thinks I am this Shodashakala, and one has forgotten the Purusha. That ignorance one has destroyed with the knowledge given by the Guru. That's what he said. Sa avidyaya pravilapitasu avidya kama karma janitasu. While living only, pranadi swakalaha. He destroyed while living through right understanding. That is the knowledge part. And that's why this knowledge is the greatest knowledge. See, the rivers have to physically merge into that ocean. That's the limitation of example. Here, it is not that the Purusha has to die. I mean, this person has to die to realize Purusha. And that is a uniqueness. I've said this earlier also. In the Vedanta alone speaks about Jivan Mukti. In this way, while living, destroy the root cause of samsara, which is ignorance. 16 kalas are appearing only because of ignorance. That ignorance is destroyed while living. So there is no need of physically destroying the BMI to realize Purusha. With Jnana, one has destroyed. So from the standpoint of that Jivan Mukta Purusha, there is no creation, there is no action, there is nothing happening. There is only one infinite consciousness which is there. Oh, but we are seeing this person acting and talking and doing so much of work and teaching or meditating. That is because we are identified with the Shodashakala. If we drop the identification with Shodashakala, we will also realize there is only one Purusha. There is nothing else. This is what Shankaracharya says here. So that person who, while living with the right understanding, has done this destruction. Very interesting it is. This cosmic deluge will happen as per the cosmic time and the cosmic cycles. That is not in the hands of the individual. And even when that cosmic deluge happens, the jivas who are not realized will only go to unmanifest, and again their journey will continue from where they left. So there is no escape from bondage, from sorrow, from suffering, from birth, from death. No escape. But this destruction by knowledge is in the hands of the jiva. That is a purushartha. Then one goes to the guru, puts the effort, realizes the truth. This gone. Whole 16 kalas dissolved through contemplation. The right knowledge arises, destroys that ignorance, and then one realizes the oneness. Then that person, here it is said, has gone beyond kala. So that person is called akala. You see, the mantra itself says that. Saha eshaha akalaha. That person is called akala. So from Shodasha Kala to Akala. And from Akala to Sakala also. If at all there is a creation that one sees it all appearance of one. That can be done at sadhana time also, and that is done even at the time of after realization. If we cannot understand that this creation does not exist for such a person, then at least the next level is the creation is seen as only divine by this realized person. From Shodashakala to Sakala to Akala, that is the journey. And again from Akala to Sakala only. And all this requires Akkala, Buddhi, intelligence, and this Purushartha, which is what human life is for. So that way, who the person becomes Akala, Akalatvad eva Amrito. And because that person is Akala, beyond parts, person is immortal, Amritaha. Because Kala means part, and part means that which is finite is perishable. Here is Akala, so Amrita. Akalatvad eva Amrito bhavati. Tade tasmin artha esha shlokaha. Now, the Rishi is quoting the mantra from Rig Veda to say the same thing, but the Rig Veda mantra is giving another example. Example is different in these two Vedas, but the concept is the same. See the sixth mantra. Ara iva rathanabhau kala yasmin pratisthitaha tam vedyam purusham veda yatha mavo mrityuhu parivyatha iti. Ara iva rathanabhau. Oh, this somewhere I heard Swamiji. Ara iva rathanabhau. Prashnopanishad only, it has come earlier. When the time cycle was being described, if you remember. That sun and the moon and Uttara and Dakshina and Paksha, Masa, all that. That time. Ara iva rathanabhau, it came. But here it is in a different context. See that. Ara iva rathanabhau prane sarvam pratishtitam. That had come. So, this a context here is like the spokes are anchored in the hub. There is a rim and then there are spokes. All those spokes are anchored in the hub. That hub, the axle will not move. This spokes will keep moving and they are held together by that rim. So that example is Ara iva rathanabhau kalaha yasmin pratisthitaha. Just like the spokes are anchored in the hub. In the same way, the 16 kalas are anchored in Purusha. Purusha is the changeless hub. The 16 kalas are the 16 spokes of the wheel of creation. You know, it's very interesting. The whole creation itself is called as a chakra. In Shvetashvatar Upanishad, the creation itself is one chakra. And science tells us today that everything is revolving in this creation. This whole cycle, this solar system and these galaxies, they all are revolving continuously. Now, this revolution is not possible without a changeless hub. What is that changeless hub? Vedanta is saying that changeless hub is Purusha. And in that Purusha alone, this entire thing is anchored. It is in that center, it is fixed. If there is no hub in the center, there will be no wheel. There will not be any movement. Nothing is possible. The spokes will all not be even spokes. There will be just some individual rods. Nothing will happen with that. Unanchored, nothing will happen. Here they are anchored. So he says, Yasmin pratishtitaha. Whoever knows that Purusha, tam vedyam purusham veda. Now, you must know that Purusha. Tam vedyam. Vedyam means to be known. That Purusha ought to be known by us in the human life. Then what will happen? Mrityu will not cause sorrow to us. Mrityu parivyatha ma vaha. Only then we will go beyond the sorrow. The greatest sorrow is the sorrow of death. Because separated from the body, separated from people, the things I call mine, one doesn't want to leave. Lot of sorrow. That sorrow goes. When one realizes, Arey, I am that indestructible Purusha, I don't have any parts, this body has parts, mind has parts, everything has parts, is all finite. Purusha is infinite. So the Araiva Rathanabhav example here is to tell us that this entire 16 kalas, this whole creation is divided into 16 kalas, that is continuously changing. But this change and this revolving, the cycles of creation, sustenance, destruction. So like a wheel, it goes up and down. A wheel keeps rotating. Very interesting is this, that creation is described as a wheel because wheel is cyclical. So it will keep going. What is at the top will come down, again it will come at the top, again it will come down. So the creation is conditioned by time, and so in our culture, the creation itself is cyclic, time itself is cyclic. It is not linear. And because it is cyclic, law of karma will work. Satyug, Tretayug, Dwaparyug, Kalyug, again Satyug. And these cycles will happen. One cycle of 4 yugas is called one kalpa. 1,000 such yugas, 1,000 such kalpas, 1,000 chaturyugis is 1 day of Brahmaji. Then 1 night of Brahmaji, that much time. Like that, 360 days into one, that is 1 year of Brahmaji. Like that, 100 years. Then again, he will also go back into Ishvara. Again, new Brahmaji will come. So this creation will go in these cycles. But time itself is measured in cycle. But the crux of that, the support of that is the timeless eternal. The changeless is the substratum of the changing, the timeless is the substratum of time. So that's the example here. Now let us see the commentary. Ara Ratha Chakra Parivara Iva Rathanabhav Ratha Chakrasya Nabhav Yatha Praveshitaha Tadashrayaha Bhavanti Yatha Tatha iti arthaha. So just like the various spokes, the spokes appear to be different from each other, but they are connected by that one wheel, one hub in the center, the axle. There, the source is the same. So as though they are one family. See the exact Ratha Chakra Parivara, it is said, Parivara. As though they are one family, because the source is same. So just like these spokes are in the axle, in that hub, in that same way, and they remain anchored there, in that same way, Kalaha Pranadhyaha, the 16 kalas beginning from prana, Yasmin Purushe Pratisthita, that Purusha in which they are anchored, meaning they emerge from that only, they are the source. That is the source of the 16 kalas. Utpatti Sthiti Laya Kaleshu. So that is the explanation Shankaracharya gives. Pratisthita means at all the 3 times, while the appearance, then sustenance and disappearance. They are doing this only out of Purusha. They don't have separate existence. Purusha is the substratum. So they are anchored in that Purusha. Laya Kaleshu Tam Purusham Kalanam Atma Bhutam. That is the self, the essence of these kalas. That Purusha is Vedyam, Vedaniyam. That Purusha should be known. Why? Purnatvat Purusham. Because that Purusha is Purnata, and that is what we are seeking. We are seeking that because that is our nature. We have forgotten it, and now we are running in the Shodasha kalas to experience Purusha. Shodasha kala are changing, perishable, destructible appearances of Purusha. Now we are holding on to appearances, forgetting the reality. Forgetting the mud. If we say, oh, I have pot, I have pot. What is that meaning? Useless it is. There is nothing called pot apart from mud. But that is what one is doing. So here it is said, don't run behind that. Kalas, know that Purusha, in whom all the kalas are anchored. because that is Vedyam, Vedaniyam, Purnatvat, because it is of the Swarupa Purnata. In the Kalas, there is Apurnata because it's finite, it is part, it is perishable. Purusha is Akala. So there is no part, it is infinite. And hence it is Purna. Purnatvat Puram Purusham. And where is it to be experienced? Purishayanadva. It is in this body only. What we saw earlier. Iha eva anta sharire. Here in this very body, it is the Purushas, not somewhere out there, oh, some Purusha from where the creation is rising, staying into which is going back. I have to realize that Purusha. No, 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 no. That Purnatvat Purusha is here as the very self. The Atma here is that Brahman. The substratum of the world is called Brahman. The substratum of this individual is called Atma. They both are one. And same Purusha only appearing as two. One individual Atma here and one Brahman there, but they are one only. So that has to be realized here. Purusham Purishayanadva Veda Janiyat. Yatha he shishyaha ma voho yushman mrityuhu parivyatha ma parivyatayatu. Then what will happen if you know this? Mrityu will not cause any sorrow and pain to you. If you know this Purusha, you become fearless. No fear of death, no pain at the time of death. And what we saw earlier, this realized person has destroyed the Kalas while living only. Just imagine that. No pain then. Why? Because the Sukshma Sharira also gone. The entity who is going to experience pain is the Sukshma Sharira. Because that Sukshma Sharira is attachment to the Sthula Sharira. And the people and the things. All that is gone. While living itself destroyed it. The entity who will experience pain gone. Then who will experience pain? Why will one experience pain? And who will take rebirth? Nothing. No birth, no rebirth, no pain at the time of death. Nothing. Then what is the experience? Purnam. Not some zero, blank, shunya. Purnam. Parivyatha ma parivyatatuhu. This death will not cause any pain. How beautiful it is, depicted in the Puranas. Just last week, this week only, Tuesday, we were doing this prasanga of Dhruvaji. When he finished ruling the earth for 36,000 years, he stepped onto the head of Yamraj and went into the Viman, which came to take him to Vaikuntha and then to Dhruvaloka. That's a depiction that the devotee who has surrendered completely goes beyond Mrityu. No fear of death. Mrityu, see, the Yamadutas have come. Not Yamaduta, sorry. They are Bhagwan's Dutas, Vishnu Bhagwan's Duta, Nandan, Sunanda, they come. And then Yamaraj comes. And Yamaraj bows down in front of Dhruva and says, you place your foot on my head and go up. Meaning devotee goes beyond death also. And if we go into the depth of devotion, then Mrityu, Yamaraj also is happy to have the dust of the lotus feet of the devotee on his head. That is to glorify bhakti, not to think that bhakta is so great that he steps on the head of Yamaraj and goes up. Don't take that false meaning. Bhakta is not interested in all that. Bhakta is interested only in Bhagwan. So that is a glorious depiction in the language of devotion. Here is language of knowledge. One who realizes Akala Purusha goes beyond birth and death while living here and now, so goes beyond sorrow. And then the commentary says, Na ched vijñāyeta purusho mrityu nimittam vyatham apannaha dukkhinaha eva yuyam sthaha. That if you don't realize this Purusha, which is indestructible, then you will be subjected to all misery associated with death. Ataha, hence, tan ma bhud yushmakam iti abhiprayaha. the mantra says, the commentary says here that hence you should not go through that sorrow of death. Go beyond it by knowing this Purusha here and now. So the result of this entire, the importance of knowing this Shodashakala Purusha, the result of this whole sadhana is this immortality. One goes beyond cycle of birth and death, realizes here and now while living. Remember, in the 5th chapter, Omkara Upasana, when it was being spoken about, there 3 matras were explained, and in that the focus on the 3rd matra, ma, leads that person to Krama Mukti. Because identified with Ishvara, the totality. Goes to Brahmaloka, doesn't have desires for being born anywhere else, so goes to Brahmaloka, there gets the knowledge, gets the Mukti. That was Krama Mukti described. Here is Jivan Mukti now. While living here and now itself, don't wait for cosmic deluge. That cosmic deluge, that time Brahmaji gives knowledge, that is Krama Mukti. Here and now, this Jivan Mukta destroys this 16 kalas because they are born out of ignorance. They are not real. Including this body, just imagine, we think this body is so real. This Jivan Mukta destroys it. In the sense, Jnanena Nashyati. Don't go and destroy this body. By that destruction, nothing will happen because avidya will remain. And that again, one will get new body. So that is useless. Jnanena eva nasha. Through the right knowledge, through contemplation, destruction of identification, then that is the correct approach. That Jivan Mukti is what will lead a person beyond sorrow of death, pain at the time of death. Now, this 6th question, as well as each disciple's questions have been answered. So now Pippalaada Rishi, he concludes. But he must be seeing that these students must be thinking, because from the faces, some of them at least, he must be feeling that they think that there's something else more to be known. So here you see this mantra. Tanha uvacha etavadeva aham etat param brahma veda na atap param asti iti. So he says, to them, to these 6 disciples. Now you just imagine Pippalaada Rishi and the 6 disciples are sitting around him, and he has given the highest knowledge of the truth. From the first question onwards, you see the thought development that has happened, and the Brahma Vidya is given in the 5th chapter also. In this chapter, too, exclusively it is given. And so, he has completed what he has to do. The highest knowledge has been given, and the doubts of others also have been clarified. So, Pippalaada Rishi says, Tan evam anushishya shishyan stan. All these shishyas who had come to him, to whom he gave the instructions, having given this instruction to these disciples in this way, what did Pippalaada Rishi say? Ha uvacha Pippalaadaha kila etavadeva vedyam param brahma veda vijanami aham etat. That Brahman which is to be known, what was said in the earlier mantra, Vedyam Purusham, that Supreme Purusha, that Brahman which is supposed to be known, I know this Brahman this much. Etavadeva aham etat param brahma veda. I know this Supreme Brahman. Now this disciple must be seeing that, oh, you know this much only. Maybe there is something more to know then. Not all disciples, some of them must be thinking that. So the Rishi says, Na ataha asmat param asti prakrishtatam veditavyam. There is nothing greater than this to know. You know why this is important? Because we also want to know more and more and more. See, one is the jignasa to know, and we read different books, different scriptures, so that we understand, and some doubts which we may have are reflected in some of the scriptures. When the student asks some question or Shankaracharyaji's commentary brings up a question, that helps to clarify. But Tattva Jnanat Param Nasti, full stop. There is nothing greater than Tattva Jnana, the knowledge of the self and the oneness of the self with that infinite consciousness. No knowledge greater than that. There's nothing more to know after that. In the world, everything we know, we will still remain ignorant of so many things in one subject itself. In physics, I may not know everything about physics. So objective knowledge, there is no end to it, but it will not remove my sorrow and suffering finally. The cause of my sorrow and suffering is the sense of duality and identification with this BMI. This knowledge of Purusha will destroy that and make me experience Purnatvat, what was said earlier. Purnatvat Puraushete. Here and now, in this very life, in this body, I will realize that. What more is there after that? So after a point, there is no need to go on listening to so many. One has to get the gist of it and sit down, meditate, contemplate, apply, purify the mind. This whole sadhana process, one has to learn. And how long will we keep collecting maps and reading, oh, this map is like that map is like that? Well, we have to start walking, take the map, see it, understand it. This is the direction, keep walking. Now, who keeps seeing the phone on Google Maps and not start the vehicle? So there's some confusion is there sometimes in our mind. And there may be something more. Let me know that also. Let me know this. There is nothing greater than Jiva Brahma Ikya. That's the ultimate purpose of life and the purpose of all scriptures. So how many scriptures should I read to know Brahman? How many mirrors do you need to know yourself, to see yourself? Only one. Oh, but why so many mirrors then? Why so many scriptures? That is because the temperaments of people are different, doubts are different approaches are given. So we can identify based on the study. Okay, is this my path? These are my questions. Can I identify with this? And choose accordingly. Whichever path, karma, bhakti, jnana, raja yoga, any of the paths. And then focus on that, realize oneness. So he says here, na ataho asmat param asti. There is nothing greater than this. Prakrishtatam veditavyam, which is supposed to be known. Iti evam uktavan shishyanam avidita shesha astitva ashanka nivrittaye. Just to remove that doubt that maybe something is not known by us yet and which I need to know. So we will go to some other teacher and find out. Not that Pippalaada Rishi doesn't want them to go to any other teacher and is possessive. The idea is you can go to any teacher you want, but beyond this, there is nothing more. So he says, for removing that doubt, because you must have seen on their face. So two things are said here. One is to remove this doubt. And second, he says, Kritartha Buddhi Jananartham cha. And to invoke that feeling of deep satisfaction that I have done what needs to be done. Pippalaada Rishi is happy that he gave this knowledge. And the students also must be happy that we have received the highest knowledge. Now beyond this, there is nothing more. The same knowledge one can reflect upon in 100,000 ways. And read and analyze, reflect, get conviction, contemplate. Process is the same. There are countless ways to do it. So at some point there is, in all of us, there is a certain curiosity to learn more and more texts, which is good. We can learn better than having that kind of extrovertedness to enjoy more and more in the world outside and then create more and more bandhan. It's better to read more and more Shastra and then reflect upon it. But at some point, one has to just grasp the essence. The essence is this. Jiva Brahma Aikya. And that Purusha is my own true self. That is infinite consciousness, which is the source of the creation, into which the creation goes back, by which it is sustained. I am that Purusha. That's all. That is to be known. Whether you know it through one book or through 100 books, doesn't matter. What is to be known is only that Purusha. I may be very, adept in explaining so many books and give big talks and all that. But if I don't know that Purusha, I am not Kritartha. I have not done what needs to be done. So now the disciples are very grateful because they have got the highest knowledge from the teacher. Out of compassion, the teacher gave unrestricted, free-flowing knowledge, not dependent on how much fees you pay. If you pay this much fees, I will give this much knowledge. If you pay more fees, I will give more knowledge. Open, unrestricted flow of knowledge. Whoever has come, they have asked questions, they have stayed for 1 year, done the tapasya, shraddha, brahmacharya, all that. And now they are asking questions, I will give. And he gave full. No expectation, nothing. That these people will stay back, help me in the ashram, give some Guru Dakshina, nothing. He gave the knowledge and he is so happy in that. And he makes the student also understand that this is the greatest knowledge now, because they are already seekers. If you remember, first in the beginning it was said they have already done upasanas and all that, and then they have come here. They have got the highest. Now they have to only realize, if some of them are not realized yet. If somebody already realized, so then job is done immediately, instantly. So I will take just 10 more minutes and this Upanishad we will conclude. This is the last mantra. Te tam archayantaha tvam hi naha pita yo asmakam avidyayaha param param tarayasi iti namaha paramarishibhyo namaha paramarishibhyah. What did the disciples do then? Te tam archayantaha. They worship the teacher. And what did they say? Tvam hi naha pita. You are our father. You are the one who took us across the ocean of avidya. Avidya asmakam param param tarayasi. You have taken across the ocean of avidya, this samsara. Salutations to the entire Guru Parampara, the entire Rishi Parampara of this Brahma Vidya. Paramarishibhyo namaha, Paramarishibhyo namaha. So Shankaracharya says, Tataha te shishyaha, those disciples, Guruna anushishtaha, who have been instructed by the Guru, Tam Gurum kritarthaha santaha, because they feel grateful. Tam Gurum vidya nishkriyam apashyantaha kim kritavantaha. This Guru gave this knowledge without any reservations, without any other motives. Selflessly, that Guru gave this knowledge. And to that Guru, these disciples, what they said, Archayantaha, Pujayantaha, Padayoho, Pushpanjali, Prakiranena, Pranipatena cha Shirasa. They worshipped that Guru, they offered flowers, they prostrated, they bowed down their head. Kim uchuhu itiyaha, and what did they say? So it is said, Tvam hi naha asmakam pita, you are our father. Why you are our father? Brahma sharirasya vidyaya janayitritvat nityasya ajara amarasya abhayasya, because you have given birth to our spiritual body. See, this is a figurative expression. Don't think that some spiritual body was created by this guru. Meaning, you have given us birth, you have initiated us into this knowledge of Brahma Vidya, and you have initiated us into that nature of the self and made us realize what? This Nitya, that which is eternal, Ajara, beyond all old age or change, Amara, immortal, beyond death, and Abhaya, fearless. That Supreme Brahman, you initiated us into this knowledge. Yas tvameva asmakam avidyayaha viparita jnanat janma jara marana roga dukkhadi grahad aparad avidya moha udadhehe vidya plavena param punaravritti lakshanam mokshakhyam mahodadheriva param tarayasya asman nityatah pitritvam tava asman prati upapannitar tava asman prati upapannam itarasmat. So he says, because of our ignorance of the self and viparita jnana. Viparita jnana means though I may have intellectual knowledge, I still feel I am the jiva. So that to remove that viparita bhavana only we do nididhyasana. So you have removed our ignorance, you have removed this viparita bhavana, and it is also because of this viparita jnana that I am this body, that we were stuck in this samsara, in this ocean, where there are so many of these sharks of birth, of old age, of death, of disease, of sorrow. So many sharks are there in this ocean of ignorance, and it is very difficult. Mahaudadhi is a huge, great ocean, which is aparad, which is not easy to cross, impossible to cross. How you have helped us to cross? Vidya plavena. With the boat of knowledge, you made us cross this incrossable ocean filled with so many of these dangerous sharks. And param apunaravritti lakshanam, you made us realize that supreme which helps us to go beyond the cycle of birth and death. And you helped us to reach that state of moksha, mokshakhyam mahaudadheriva param tarayasya. And so you have made us cross this ocean, realize that Supreme took us to the shores across the shores of finitude into the beatitude of the infinite. Mahodadheriva param tarayasya asman nityatvam nityatah pitritvam. So you are definitely our father, because even in the world, itaro api hi pita sharira matram janayati. Even the father who gives birth to the physical body is revered so much. Then what to talk about the father who has given us birth or initiation as though into the infinite, into the birthless, changeless, deathless. Tathapi sa prapujya tamo loke. So even this father of the physical body is worshipful in this world. Kimu vaktavyam atyantikam abhaya dhatuhu iti abhipraya. Then what to talk about the one who has given absolute fearlessness. The greatest dan is called abhayadan, and that abhayadan happens through brahmagyan. And one who has given that abhayadan, one who has given that birth of the spiritual body. So definitely you are our father. and they worshipped him that way, they revered him. Namaha Paramarishibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Namaha Paramarishibhya iti dvivachanam adarartham. So salutations to the entire Guru Parampara of the Brahma Vidya Acharyas, the Sampradaya of Brahma Vidya. Every Guru is the expression of the whole Parampara. And the Guru also gives the knowledge to the disciples, and the disciple further will become the Guru and give the knowledge to the others. So this unbroken tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara is the most beautiful aspect of Sanatana Dharma. And this knowledge is attained at the feet of the Guru, and the disciple becomes fulfilled. And as the disciple feels fulfilled, will share that with other students who come, and this way this unbroken tradition of Brahma Vidya Sampradaya keeps illuminating the whole world. And these realized masters are those who make this human life fulfilled, and the whole purpose of evolution also gets completed because of these Brahma Vidya Acharyas. So the mantra concludes by prostrating to them. 2 times it comes, Paramarishibhyo Namaha, is to also signify the end of the text and also to signify great reverence. So that is where we stop, and we will chant the first mantra as our tradition, that we will continue to study this Upanishad. First question, first chapter, first mantra. Om Sukeshacha Bharadvajaha Shaibhyascha Satya Kamaha Saurya cha Gargyaha Kausalyascha Ashwalayano Bhargavo Vaidarbhihi Kabandhi Katyayanaha Te haite Brahmapara Brahmanishtaha Param Brahma Anveshamana Esha Havai Tat Sarvam Vakshyati iti te ha samit panayoho Bhagavantam Pippaladam upasannaha. We offer this Manan Sadhana at the feet of the great Rishis, Puja Gurudev and the Lord. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmana Va Prakriti Svabhavat Karomi Adyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Om Tat Sat Chinmayarpanamastu. Namah Paramarishibhyaha. Thank you to each and every one of you. This text has not been very easy, especially with Shankar Bhashya and so many schools of thought, Shankaracharya counters and different things that are brought up. I was keen to do it as my sadhana, and all of you have been a very kind audience. So thank you to each of you for being a part of my sadhana. Any questions for today? Okay. Was there a question? Yes.
Swamiji, of course, I think I echo everybody's sentiments in that we were eternally grateful for having completed or having studied this text with you. Swamiji, I wanted to ask that there is as you said, there's an evolution that one goes through when one is starting with knowledge study, and then of course as one intensifies one's sadhana. So when we are at a personal level, how do we know that we have to move on from one level of sadhana to the next? Is it the natural inclination which will push us there, or do we have to consciously review ourselves and then take that next step?
See, both have to happen. One is that the miles. So first of all, the path must be chosen very clearly. Though each path includes the others, first I must choose. Predominantly, I want to follow Jnana Marg or Bhakti Marg or the Yoga Marg, Karma Yoga or Raja Yoga, which marg I want to follow. First, I should choose that. Once I choose the path very clearly, then which is the scripture that will help me? I have studied so many scriptures in that path. There will be one particular scripture which is appealing to me a lot. I follow that and start walking. If that is a highest text and I need some more basics, then I should take two, maybe a Prakarana Grantha or a basic text which will tell about preparatory sadhanas also, and then also the highest text in whichever path it can be. So then choose the specific scriptures and then consciously introspect and find out at which level am I given in this path, what are the milestones on the way. And as we keep progressing, internally also we will get intuitive guidance as to what should be done next. But conscious reflection also is important so that one ensures that the progress is steady and there is no slackness, there is no complacency, and one will keep putting more and more effort, intensifying it. So both have to be done. So if one walks the path of knowledge, we know the 10 steps of knowledge which are there. If one walks the path of bhakti, maybe take up Navada Bhakti, path of yoga, Ashtanga yoga is there. So then accordingly, one has to identify. If it is path of karma yoga, then service to the ideal, then that is the supreme. And then the Gita also gives us the path. Once the mind is purified, then again one goes to the teacher, learn, reflect, contemplate, karma sannyas, then dhyan. So the path is very clearly given out. So one has to choose accordingly. And nothing wrong if one wants to study more, but don't wait. That is the point. That after this text, then some more, then further afterwards I will decide and then I will walk after some 10, 20 years. No. Start walking. On the way, maybe text also will come and one has to decide. If I want to, I can study. If I don't want to, I can try to internalize whatever I have studied and walk the path. If there is a need to study, doubts come or obstacles come, challenges come, then the solutions also will come. So then one has to decide accordingly.
Swamiji, can one use study as a means of reminding oneself of the goal again and again? And even though one has understood conceptually, but just that it helps sometimes to just remind us that this is again what is the path that I have chosen for myself.
No, definitely that is what we all are doing. The continuous reflection is to remind ourselves of what is the goal, what is the path, and are we on the path or are we distracted, or how intensely are we following the path. So study is definitely helpful for all that. Only the point to understand is study should not become an escapism for sadhana. That's a very, what like Shankaracharya ji says, in the Vivek Chudamani, Shabdajalam Maharanyam Chitta Brahmana Karanam. This is a play of words and then the mind keeps going round and round in that. Or one keeps on studying books after books after books, but one has not started walking the path. So that should not happen. Otherwise, study is a big sadhana to be done and it will keep the mind focused. It will ensure that if the mind is falling, the mind at least is able to recognize fast and again come back to the path, overcome the obstacles. So study continuously is definitely helpful, but it should be followed with the sadhana of learning to withdraw, learning to surrender, learning to serve selflessly. That should go together.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for the answer and for all the knowledge you have shared with us.
Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So you can reflect on this Upanishad for a few months. We will start the next Upanishad next year. This year I have to take a youth empowerment program. So I will be away from Mumbai for 2.5 months. And then when I return, I may go to Narmada Parikrama to complete that or to do as much as I can in that time period available. So our regular classes Saturday morning will start most probably next year in January sometime. If it happens before, I will let you know, but otherwise it will happen in next year, January.